Hi, I'm Fabian from Noisemakers, and today I want to show you some of the little improvements and features of the 1.1.0 firmware release of the PGB-1, which is the first firmware update since the release of our Pocket Groovebox. And I also want to cover some of the features that are maybe a little bit more advanced, or some tips and tricks that are not very well documented right now. Okay, so we start with the audio inputs. So there are three audio inputs on the device, which we can control from a little menu. So we press menu, we go right to the inputs, and here we have the first page of settings. So first we can turn on or off each of the three different inputs. So we have the stereo line in, which is this connector over here next to the headphone speaker. We have an internal microphone, which is just here, and we can have a headset microphone, but I don't have a headset right now, so it's not gonna do anything. And last, we can control the volume of the gain for all three inputs combined. So if we want to use the internal microphone, you might want to raise the volume here. Usually for line input, you want to keep it as low as possible and increase the volume on the device that you are using, because you're going to get more headroom, less noise this way. So for this demo here, I'm going to bring in a pocket operator. All right, so the line input is on. I have the volume set to a low value. And I'm gonna play the pocket operator, which is just connected through a stereo mini jack. So yeah, you can see we can hear the pocket operator through the PGB-1. And if we go to the next page of settings, it's gonna be about effects on the audio inputs. So right now it's bypass, so we don't have any effects. We have the overdrive, the beat crusher, and the reverb, which is pretty nice. Let's switch to our next topic, which is sample recording. So to record a new sample, there's a bit of a shortcut. You press the copy FX button, you hold it, and then you press edit, and you're going to enter sample mode. So here you can either create a new sample or edit an existing sample, in which case you are going to change the start point, end point, and the name of the sample. So it's not very interesting for this demo, so let's make a new sample. So I press A, then I can select which one of the inputs I want to use. So it's one of the three. We're going to use line in here. We're going to record the pocket operator. And with up and down, I can control the volume or the gain. All right. If I press A again, it's going to start recording. We have a 2 seconds rolling buffer. So once we record more than 2 seconds, it's going to erase the old stuff with the new one coming in. So now I can press a button on the pocket operator, and I have my sample here. I can see that it's not very loud. I can probably raise the gain a little bit, so I can press B to go back. I can still increase a little bit. Okay. Once I'm happy, I press A again to stop the recording, and now with the left and right button, I can move the start point. With the up and down, I can move the end point. You can also see as well, we have different lights on the keyboard here. It's because I can preview my sample pressing those keys at different pitches. If I press 1, I can go down 1 octave, which can be useful to set the start point more precisely. If I press 4, I go back to the central octave. If I press 8, I can go higher. Okay, so sample is pretty good now, but I'm gonna go back and actually record 2 samples in one. This is for a little trick I want to show you later on. So let's go back and I'm gonna record sorry. Let me try again. Okay, so now we have two sounds. Okay. So let's press A to continue. We can set a name for the sample, but I'm a bit lazy. Press A to select the sample location. So let's put it here. Press A again. We have to confirm. Press right to select yes. Press A to confirm. It's going to take a couple of seconds to save the sample, and that's it. We know we can go to one of the sample tracks. We go up, and we see our sample over here. All right, so that's basically how to create a new sample on the PGB-1. Okay, so that's how you create a new sample on PGB-1. Now I'm going to show you how to use as much as possible the two sampler tracks. So we have the 7 and the 8 that are sample track. People are asking if we can have more sample track. It's not really possible because of the hardware limitations of the device, but there are some tips and tricks that really can greatly improve what you can do with the sample track. So let's have a look. First, I'm going to create a new project. All right, and so I'm going to select the first. Maybe raise the volume a little bit. The first sample track. And so right now we have the cowbell selected. So that's what's going to play by default. If I press Edit, put in a pattern, it's just going to play the cowbell. All right. But if I go to the step mode, select step 1, and I go right, I can go to the parameter logs. And so for the sample track, one of the parameters is actually which sample we want to play. And so maybe what I can do is, I think there's a kick somewhere. Let's put a kick here. All right, now I go to the third one. I'm gonna enable it, and I'm gonna take, say a hi-hat. And the fifth one, you see where I'm going here, some snare. Okay, now I'm gonna copy the steps, copy this one, put it here, copy this one, put it here and here, copy the snare here. And so this is just to show you that actually, even though we just have two sample tracks, you can actually play different samples on each individual step. And so if you combine this with the two sample tracks, you can actually do a lot with just the samples. Let's clear, make a new project, and I'm going to show you another trick with the sample we re-recorded before. So I'm going to select it. So if you remember, in this sample we have actually two sounds, and there's actually a click on this one was maybe too loud. Anyway, we're going to use the same trick more or less. We're going to set a different, so we're going to put two steps. Set a different starting point. So this one is going to start at the very beginning. We're going to put a very short release. So we just hear the first sound. And the next one, we put a short release as well, but we change the starting point. So we start at the beginning of at the second sound. And so this way, again, I can copy. With just one sample slot, we actually have two samples, which is one way to better optimize and use more memory in the device. So there you go, a little trick for you. Okay, so now let's look at some other improvements that we have in this release. I think one of them. So let's go to the track. Let's load a demo project. So this one, for instance. Okay, so when you are editing track settings, one way to change the value is the up and down arrow here. So I can increase the drive for the kick, but there's also the touch strip, and so the touch strip is much more usable now with this release. So it's smoother and more precise as well. And one little trick I want to show you, so I'm gonna solo the kick. If you press and hold the copy FX button, you have access to one parameter that you can change live. Whenever whatever you select in the track settings. So I can select the sample track. If I can press FX here, you see the lead and the parameter is tune. But I can go to the kick track and I can select drive. And so right now I can just change the drive with the touch strip. It's a quick way to have one parameter that you want maybe to change live during your performance. Okay, another quick tip I want to share is the chord progression kind of indicator. So when there's a chord progression going on, you see these little dots and the little up arrow here on the screen. This is showing where you are in the chord progression. So if I hit play, see the third chord, fourth chord. Let me turn down the volume a little bit. And this is useful to time your change of pattern and song parts. Now here, let me select. So this one, for instance, I can see. So the second chord, third chord, and then the first one is coming. So I can change to the next part before we go back to the first chord. So that's a little trick. And right now we also have this display in the FX/copy menu, so I can time my retrigs and release just in time. Okay, so next on the topic of chord progressions, some people ask how to set up a chord progression. So let's start a new project. All right, and let's put just a bass pattern, just so we have something going on. So the chord progression, it's happening in song mode. So you press song, maybe we have the first song part. So which chord progression is going to play is set here. You see chords and number 13. So to change that, I press B to go down, then right, and then with up and down I can select between 13, 14, 15, and 16. And this corresponds to the 4 buttons over here. These are the chord progression buttons. So let's go back to 13. So this is saying when I play this song part, I'm gonna play the chord progression number 13. So how do I edit this one? I press the 13 over here, and now I'm in the chord settings menu. So here I have just a chord progression with one chord. So I can change the root note, I can change the quality of the chord, and I can change the length of the chord. Actually, let's put some chords. That's gonna be better than just the bass. Okay. So go back to song mode, 13. See, I can change the quality of the chord, I can change the root note. If I want to add another chord to the progression, I go right, okay, until I'm the last setting, go right again, and then I can press A to add a new chord. And now there are 2 chords in the progression. So I can put whatever chord I want. And maybe I want this one to last a little bit longer, so I'm gonna go like this. All right, and so then you can just add another chord and again, or you can remove, so you go to this page and you press B to remove a chord from the progression. And the last page is actually to generate random chord progressions. So you just press A and it's going to randomly create a chord progression. You can press A again to try something else. With the up and down button, you have the option to select different scales. So we have major, minor, and modal. So again, play a bit with this, see what you like. Okay, let's start with that. And so now, how do we know which note from the chord is going to be played? So this is in the step mode. So if I select the chords engine, this one is going to play a chord by default always, and that's because when we go to a step, if we go to the note setting over here, it's written, it says chord. If I press A, I can change. I can just play one note in the chord. I can play the arpeggiator or just a fixed note that I set that has nothing to do with the chord progression. But for the chord track, we want to play a chord. This is the only polyphonic track inside the device. But if you control an external MIDI instrument, you can also send chords through MIDI. Now, if I go to the lead, by default, it's going to play, so you can see over here, it's going to play the arpeggiator. But I can change, I can mix. For instance, I can have here, I always want to play the root note, so I'm going to press A till I reach the notes in chord, and here you see number 1 plus 0 octave. So it's going to play the first note of the chord at the same octave as the chord, but I can, so now it's going to be always the same. I can also play the second note of the chord, the third, fourth, or I can play the root note at 1 octave above. I can go down to play 1 octave below, etc. And so I can mix that. For instance, I can say the first step is always going to play the root notes, but then I can go to the arpeggiator for the 3 next notes, and then the 5th note is going to play the 3rd note of the chord, etc., etc. So let's put things like this. Okay, let's play the root note 1 octave above. Why not? Let's play the 3rd or the 4th, and so. See here we can mix different things, and for instance, this is interesting. If we go to the track mode, we go right to select the arpeggiator mode, and we can put random. So yeah, here, random. So now the arpeggiator will play random notes from the chord, except for these steps, which we know will always land on the note that we selected. So it's an interesting mix because you can decide on given steps you always want to play a precise note, but for the others you can just have random notes. And of course, if you go to part 2, you can select another chord progression. So let's play the 14th. Let's generate something else. And so now, if I play part 1, it's going to be this chord progression. If I switch to the part 2, it's another chord progression. So that's one way to have, a very interesting track. You can say the first progression can be just staying fixed on one single chord, and then as you move along the track, you can bring in more chords, have a progression, and then change again. That's pretty powerful. Okay, so last but not least, we're going to finish with some of the new synth engine available in the PGB-1. So I'm just using little pattern on the bass track here. So the first one is the PDR square full sine. This is a bit cryptic. PDR stands for phase distortion resonance, and square full sine means there's half of the waveform which is a square wave and the other half is a full sine wave. So we're gonna play this. We can increase the shape distortion, the phase distortion, and this sounds like hence the name phase distortion resonant. It sounds like a resonant filter, which is pretty nice. You can change the distortion. And the second parameter is distort release, so you can make it short. Okay. Let's switch to the next one, triangle phasers. So this is, this is a bit like the phaser that we had. I think the chip phaser in the first firmware. Basically, we have two triangle waveforms. We can change the shape of the triangle, and we can offset the phase. So here they are synchronized. We can increase the phase a little bit. So pretty good bass sound. Of course, we have the LFO here, which we can use to change automatically some parameters. Alright, the next one is pretty similar. It's the sine phaser, so the same idea is just a sine wave instead of a triangle. So we have a shape. Let's turn off the LFO. We have a shape, we have an offset between the two. Okay. Next one, sine plug. So this is kind of a plug sound with a sine wave. What's happening here is that we have a filter that's gonna close depending on the release parameter. So the shorter the release, the faster it's gonna close. So it's kind of a plug sound. We can change the shape of the waveform, and we can change the cutoff frequency of the filter. We also have the resonance of the filter. Alright, and the next one is the same with the triangle. Okay. Next one, chip plug, same idea with a square wave. Okay. And that's it for the new synth engine in the release 1.1.0 of the PGB-1. All right, that wraps up our overview of the new features and improvements in the PGB-1 firmware, the new 1.1.0 firmware. If you have any questions, ideas, suggestions, please join the Discord server and have a chat with us. We'd be happy to hear your ideas. And in the meantime, have fun and see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.